Superman will easily be DC's most important movie in around a decade. Its success will single-handedly determine the future of this universe and of this franchise. It's looking pretty great for now, the trailers look great, James Gunn has a flawless track record when it comes to his comic book projects, but there's one thing that I think is a warranted concern. There is a lot going on. Looking at the trailers, there are a few things that remain a mystery to us. This gold armored villain, the Hammer of Baravia, is a completely original character as far as we can tell, and the masked Ultraman is seemingly nothing like Ultraman from the comics. And finally is the absence of Milly Alcock as Kara Zor-el, aka Supergirl, who will have a small appearance leading into her own movie next year. There are a few possibilities for who these characters are, but what if they, and also a few others, are all connected into one shared story? If you enjoy my videos, make sure to subscribe and sign up for a membership. Anybody in the noble tier or above gets early access to videos, especially the universe restructuring videos. Those come a few days or even up to a week early. Ultraman is a masked individual with flight and super strength on Superman's level. He's also working with Lex Luthor. His suit is black in the trailers, but merchandise shows it's actually purple. Maybe that's going to be the case in the movie, maybe they changed it in the trailers, or maybe that was an early concept art that changed. Now, Ultraman in the comics is the Kal-El of an alternate universe where all the heroes are evil, which is Earth 3, and Ultraman is the leader of the crime syndicate. This is clearly not that. Ultraman will be Ultraman in name and maybe also powers only. We have not seen him use any powers aside from strength and flight. So he has Superman's powers, he's masked, and he works for Lex Luthor. Everything points towards him being a clone of Superman, who will then likely deteriorate into Bizarro. It's possible Lex also is able to access the Fortress of Solitude by tricking it into thinking Superman is there. Ultraman has his DNA because he's a clone. The merchandise showing him to be purple also does fit this. Bizarro's color scheme often utilizes purple. However, he looks a lot in merchandise like Parasite, which is certainly also an option. Parasite can't usually fly, but maybe he drains Superman's powers and actually copied them. Maybe Superman is weakened in this fight by being drained by Parasite. We do see his hair being cut by the engineer, potentially only possible because he was drained and therefore weakened. That said, I don't think Parasite is very likely unless it's a combination of a few different characters, because then why would he be wearing a mask? Like, what exactly is that hiding? Parasite is also not really a suited villain, the purple is his skin, with the exception of the DCAU design, which can pass as a suit, and actually does look a bit like Ultraman, but I think that's a bit of a stretch. Parasite is certainly a possibility, but not the largest one, and definitely not what I'm basing this theory off of. But then again, the big theory of this video does not suggest that he's Bizarro either. Where things get a little bit more complicated is with the Hammer of Baravia, a large armored figure with a juggernaut-like helmet, a gold and gray color scheme, and the flag of Borovia on its chest. This character looks like nobody from DC Comics and has a completely original name. He could be anyone. We see in the trailer that he could fly, has Superman level strength, and even heat vision. Until the heat vision, I could have thought maybe it's Lex Luthor in a suit, maybe it's a robot, but the heat vision practically confirms that this is another Kryptonian. My first thought here is that the Hammer of Baravia is just Ultraman. His first phase would be armored, that would be destroyed. His second phase is his suit, and that would also be destroyed to reveal Bizarro underneath. This makes sense since the Hammer of Baravia is meant to be a representative of the country of Borovia, retaliating against Superman for stopping their war. However, Borovia doesn't take responsibility for him, stating that he's a lone vigilante. All things considered, there's absolutely nothing to say that he's actually from Borovia at all. He was almost certainly created by Lex Luthor and sent to attack Superman in order to fuel the political discourse against Superman's actions. So if the Hammer is working for Lex and has Kryptonian powers, and Ultraman is working for Lex and has Kryptonian powers, they're likely the same person. But then where does Supergirl fit into all of this? Well, initially I thought that during the events of this movie, Kara will be busy or off-world or maybe in school, and that she'll only have a cameo. But I think there's a very easy way to connect a lot of these characters together and include Kara in the plot, setting her up for a spin-off, not just in a cameo or an end credit scene, but actually with a role in this movie. All assuming she'll be actually debuting as Supergirl in this movie. Initially, I thought that she would have debuted already, or maybe she will debut at the end in an end credit scene tease, but now I'm seeing that maybe it could actually fit into the plot. This all also connects to Krypto. Krypto in this movie is untrained, hinting that he has not been around for a while. But how did that happen? Well, I think we'll slowly learn about Krypto's origin and how he came to Earth. He was Kal-El's dog as a baby. Kal-El was sent off on his own while Krypto was put into a pod with Kal's cousin, Kara, both sent to protect Kal, but Kara was meant to also take care of Krypto. Kal safely made it to Earth, but Kara and Krypto were caught in some sort of cosmic storm or black hole that brought them to a time-dilated alternate dimension. Lex Luthor, in his vast resources and genius, invents a portal to access these very dimensions. One dimension holds his metahuman prison, another one is where the kaiju comes from, while this one is shown in the trailers to have floating debris and a Kryptonian versus Kryptonian fight in this movie. My guess of what happens here is that due to the time dilation, pretty soon after they arrived in this dimension, Kara and Krypto were found by Lex Luthor. Krypto, ever the troublemaker, lashed out and escaped immediately, only to then be found somewhere out there by an already adult Superman. Kara, meanwhile, a scared teenager whose planet was just destroyed, was manipulated by Lex Luthor. Maybe Lex told Kara that Superman is an evil figure who killed her cousin as a baby. From there, Kara works for Luthor, is the Hammer of Baravia, and then also even Ultraman. Maybe that suit isn't as skin tight as we initially thought. Clearly, Ultraman is played by a man in the set photos, but that could very easily, with CGI, not actually be the case for the suit. It's not actually showing the character's figure. At least, that's, in my opinion, a possibility. I think this fits really well because it answers so many of the questions we have, like how did Krypto come to Earth, where is Kara during these events, and who are the Hammer of Baravia and Ultraman. The alternate dimensions being a part of the plot fits Supergirl's origin, her being so fresh to Earth works well with the plot of her upcoming movie, and the familial connection between Kal and Kara can do wonders for the emotional stakes of this movie. Kara realizes she didn't fail to protect Kal, and Clark realizes he's not the last Kryptonian. This could also fit some of the themes of the movie. Maybe Superman will be pressured to kill Ultraman or the Hammer. He refuses, and then Ultraman or the Hammer of Baravia eventually redeems herself and becomes one of the world's greatest heroes, showing the virtue of life, redemption, and hope for a better tomorrow. The movie seems stuffed with so much, but I think Gunn probably knows what he's doing. There's no way these plot points don't connect thematically at the very least, but maybe they could connect story-wise and lead to some sort of shared related climax. I think this could be it. It is kind of similar to the plot of My Adventures with Superman Season 2, but I think there is something very compelling about the idea of Supergirl starting out as a disguised antagonist who turns good. It really fits her character and is a great way of contrasting the differences between Clark and Kara. She's not just a female Superman, she's darker, more jaded, and more Kryptonian. It's what sets her apart from Superman that makes her interesting in her own right. This will certainly accomplish that, while also surprising audiences with a twist involving a very recognizable character. From there, almost everything in this movie could also fit together as well. Lois and the Daily Planet investigate Superman and Lex Luthor. Metamorpho is the main character that Superman interacts with in the prison and is used by Luthor to create kryptonite. The Justice Gang works for Lortech, and Lortech will likely have some sort of deal with Luthor Corp, maybe making the heroes close to being put under Luthor's employ. The Kaiju and Solaris probably also came from these alternate dimensions and Luthor tampering with them. Flag will be working alongside Luthor Corp to help capture Superman under the false pretenses that Lex manipulate them into, and that will all be kicked off by Superman stopping a war. Practically everything in this movie can point back to Lex Luthor's schemes, and so while it might look like the movie will be chock full of different plots and enemies, heroes, and supporting characters, it might be more connected together and interwoven than expected. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.